Because the Irish government hates the Irish motorist, although loves taxing them, if you wanted the 310 Golf R equivalent version of the Cupra Formentor, you'd pay over 40% rate of VRT and over €70,000 for the privilege of driving the car. Thankfully, Cupra are just as smart as the Irish government. Not as smart ass, but smart. And they've given us lots of options if you want to buy one of these. And those options include this one, which is a 1.4 plug-in hybrid with a combined electric and petrol output. You've got 1.5 TSIs, 150 brake, 2-litre TDIs with 150 brake. There's just lots of options covered. In my opinion, this is one of the smartest looking hatchbacks that money can buy right now. The entry level for Formentor starts from a smidgen over €41,500. But it does look really, really smart. I mean, just look at it. So today on Nobby on Cars, I'll let you know, is it worth going for the plug-in hybrid version? Will you save enough fuel, or should you just stick to the 1.5 TSI? And I'll let you know, does it drive as well as it looks? Welcome. I love the way it pulses at you to say, press me, go on, I dare you. I love the steering wheel. That's the first thing you see when you jump into this car. And it just looks different. And I think that's what I love so much about Cupra. They're doing things differently. They're working on the foundation of a car that is a mass-produced vehicle. Can't get away from that, no issue with that. But they've managed to make the outside just very, very striking, very, very different, off script, not what you're expecting from the other brands in the Volkswagen group. I mean, if you really want to look at where they're going with things like the Dark Rebel, you get a really futuristic sense of, I suppose, where they could go. Now, when this thing is out of electric juice, you're still stuck with that 1.4 petrol. And I'm actually in that situation now. And it's still fine. It's still nippy. Obviously, the more you keep this topped up, the best fuel economy that's going to be achieved. So you'll see 5.5 litres per 100 kilometres. There's the figure down there for those of you watching in the UK. And that's pretty good because the 1.5 TSI, 150 brake horsepower without any electrification, you'll get, 7.5, between there and 8.5 litres per 100 kilometres. So you could argue that for every 100 kilometres, you're saving 3 litres of fuel if you charge it. Let's say you get 500 kilometres out of this car, that's 15 litres per tank. But bear in mind that the range of the PHEV, is somewhere between 40 and 60 kilometres, depending on how you drive it and depending on how warm it is outside. And you're going to have to charge that each time. And then you need to multiply the kilowatt hour battery size by whatever you're paying for electricity. If you're not paying and you're charging at work, you're still in with your parents, don't worry about it. But if you are, you've got to factor that in because then suddenly you're 3 litres per 100 kilometres that you're saving, but you're going to pay for that in electric. So really, it can sometimes be very, very difficult. I mean, to justify the extra price, one of the main benefits, no questions, more performance. So if you charge it, you're getting 245 brake horsepower, which is not that far off the R version. Sometimes in the wet, ever so slightly, a little bit of struggling going on to get the power down through those front wheels because this is a front wheel drive car. You still got a very nice boot in the back, good space in the rear. I love the fact that you get your own air vents back there and textures on the seats and the door cards that are a little bit different. The ambient lighting that you can change your own colour on looks very nice at night time. If you like, fiddling with things, you've got many, many views for your instruments. This screen, still, particularly in the dark, you can see the sliders. You can double tap the shortcut to turn on your heated seats, and there is a kind of constant button there for your climate control. Something else you can do is you can choose between E-mode or hybrid mode. So E-mode is fully electric, hybrid is working in tandem with the petrol engine, and you can charge it if you want. So you'll use the petrol engine to do that. So I can increase this now, and you hear the petrol engine come straight into life, and then you use petrol to recharge the battery. It does obviously burn more fuel, but if you wanted to get into a zero emission zone and you were stuck, you didn't want to pull in to charge, then it gives you that option. Ride quality is amazing. Now, I've driven Cupras with dynamic chassis control, and I went to check to see did this have it, because it was that comfortable, and it doesn't. So a combination of the tyres and just the whole setup of the suspension, it's excellent. I think I'd give them a chef's kiss, actually. That's how forgiving it is on Irish roads. And you know, it's on nice alloy, so it's not like it's on big thick tyres. Better fuel economy, punchier performance, but that's really not to suggest that the 1.5 TSI isn't powerful enough to carry this car. I personally feel it is, and I'd probably just be going for that one, really. But as something to drive, it's relatively sharp. Yes, there's a bit of extra weight again if you're going to get the plug-in hybrid version of it. The brakes are very, very good, as I'm having to test now the elderly lady crossing at a pedestrian set of lights, who also wants to see Christmas. Plenty of stuff around here as well. You got more space because of your little nib for your gear selector. 2 USB-C charging points down here. Armrest that is adjustable. Space for drinks holders. They'll fit nicely down there. Now, there are still a couple of bugs in the software. Not as buggy as some of the full electric stuff I've seen. But the voice command keeps coming on, and I'm not requesting it. Apart from that, I don't think... I saw a wireless charger error to say that it wouldn't clear the tray of other things. There was nothing else there. And I've got a MagSafe thing on the back of the phone, so not sure what that was about. There are my only 2 buggy issues with the car. But it looks great. And it's a car that when you park this thing, you're always going to swing back and look at it and go, that's mine. That's my car there. That's mine. It's my Cupra. And there's a lot to be said for that when you spend all your hard-earned money on a car. You really kind of want to look back at something that you want to check out. Whatever version you buy this car in, you're going to get something that looks really, really smart. My main issue, as I mentioned, is just that transition from electric mode to petrol, or when you're in hybrid, it's just a little bit clunky. And that 1.5 150 brake horsepower, I've driven it in Golfs, Skoda Octavias, Fabias. It's a punchy little number. That would probably be the sweet spot for me. If you really have the option of charging for nothing, maybe in work or something like that, then I'd probably consider the plug-in hybrid, just for that extra little burst of brake horsepower. But actually, out of the box, 1.5 TSI, you'll be laughing. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.